Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we have the biggest teaser since finding out that we're getting a new original character in Crescent and Io, and this one is actually two characters being teased at once, and they're not new characters, no, but after all of the transformations, they might feel like new characters. So let's kind of keep the suspense up, and let's read what they said on Mobrum. Last night, one of our scientists called me and accidentally mentioned that some upgrades were being made for our heroes in the research lab. I was able to take a peek at what they're working on, just a little peek, but they escorted me out before I could identify who will be receiving the upgrade. And then we get this interesting video, a lab with a very familiar emblem. And we see this video here, and we see those two emblems there, and then we see some code there at the bottom. I feel like I've seen these emblems somewhere before. I wonder who owns these. Do you have any idea? Of course, we have a perfect idea. It's very obvious who these emblems belong to. On Twitter, these two have come a long way in such a short time. I agree. They are really showing themselves to be true heroes, and as such, we think it's time to reward them with some new gear. So if you're unfamiliar, those icons belong to, those emblems belong to, on the left, Sharon Rogers, on the right, Luna Snow. And before you get any crazy ideas, before you hear any of the BS rumors, there is binary at the bottom there, the ones and the zeros. That's computer talk. There is no mention in the computer talk of any T3, neither the letter T nor the number 3 nor the combination at all. The only thing that's mentioned in the binary is two new uniforms, I believe, or something about Sharon Rogers and Luna Snow. Anyways, it basically just confirms what we can already see on this image, and the only thing that's missing from this image is the T3 image that we're used to seeing when we get other tier 3s teased, like Black Panther or Thor with the keychain, or an Ant-Man with the keychain. Frankly, we already mentioned Black Panther, Deadpool, Magneto when you had the Sentinel scanning him, and so on and so forth. However, it is unclear, given the fact that they use words like gear and upgrade, it is unclear as to exactly what we're getting. Now, if you take a closer look at the screenshot that I'll post now of the two images, they pretty clearly look like new uniforms to me. Now, the Sharon Rogers one on the left has some remnants of her original uniform with the helmet, especially. It's very similar to the one that she has here. The one in the image is similar to this one. However, the rest of it is different. She doesn't have the big giant belt. She doesn't have something around her neck. And she doesn't have the spear or the shield. Here, very little, if any, of this uniform is the same. I think the star is the only thing that is similar, but I would say that her new uniform, at least from the kind of light blue, dark blue two-tone that we can see, more closely resembles Captain Marvel in the way that those gold bands on the shoulders connect into the middle to form the star. And it's also quite similar, I believe, to Captain America's first or second uniform. No, it's a little bit later on. It's his Winter Soldier uniform, where there's lines on the shoulders and it connects in the middle with a star. So that is pretty much, almost, I would say, in my opinion, a guarantee. Now, again, it's my opinion. I can't guarantee it because I don't really work for Netmarble. I don't have the inside scoop, but it seems as though Luna is going to be losing the kind of super sultry outfit, and she's going to be opting for a more kind of tight-looking bodysuit, kind of like the Avengers 4 leaks, if you've been following that. And Luna Snow's also going to be getting a new uniform. However, I do want to say that personally, given the way that the Mobrum post especially is worded in terms of a research lab, in terms of finding out something about a character, this is all very, very similar to the majority of the words and the kind of writing style that they've used for previous updates for previous tier 3s. So I'm going to say, personally, I think we are getting two new tier 3s with two new uniforms, Sharon Rogers and Luna Snow. Now, I don't know where that leaves Crescent and Io, if they're going to also get tier 3 or not, but it'll be very interesting to see how their power level matches up, if at all. But I think it's huge for both Luna and Captain America Sharon Rogers. It's going to be also interesting because Luna Snow is potentially the first paywall tier 3, so we're definitely going to want to keep a close eye on how she ranks up and matches up to Deadpool, Captain America, the really big heavy hitting tier 3s. How big is her stat bump? How good is her new tier 3 skill? How many of her skills are changed with her uniform? If she gets a sufficient enough upgrade from her uniform and her tier 3, she could possibly be the best tier 3 character in the game, because honestly, she hits like a truck. At tier 2 with no uniform. She hits harder than most characters with uniforms. And because her skills are all chill or cold, it's very easy to really crank up her damage to very high levels. Now, one thing that I've seen thrown around quite a bit as a rumor is the word gear has been kind of misinterpreted, and some people are saying it could mean more types of CTPs. While it is obviously possible for Netmarble to introduce new CTPs, there's nothing stopping them from doing that. I don't think that they would introduce new CTPs in the same sentence as showing 2 new characters' uniforms. It just doesn't fit. It feels awkward. It's kind of misleading. And the gear, remember, the word gear also applies to character gear, and I pointed this out on Twitch as well. When you want to tier 3 a character, if you can't tier 3 them yet, it will say gear level too low. So when they say about Luna Snow and Sharon Rogers, they are getting an upgrade in gear. That could simply mean level 70 gear 25 with new uniforms. That's true, yes, but it could also mean tier 3. Now, of course, I could be wrong. We could just be getting uniforms and level 70. But I do think that uniforms and level 70 is the absolute minimum for these 2 characters, which is a huge boost. I mean, Sharon Rogers is still on the fringes of the meta. Fringes, but still on the fringes of the meta, given how insanely powerful she is. And I don't think her new uniform is going to change what makes her so powerful. And if you're not familiar what makes her so powerful, 30% all damage reduction. She has ignore defense. She has super armor, all defense. But really, the power of her comes from not only her 4th and 5th skill, which do tremendous damage and have great crowd control effects, but her 3rd skill. And this is what I think a lot of people sleep on. 15% of her HP converted to 15% increased attack per 1%. For those of you that aren't good at math, I've done it ahead of time. 15 times 15. Sharon Rogers, at maximum buff, can give herself an additional 225% attack, which is absolutely bananas. It's actually the same buff that Captain America has on his tier 3 skill. 15%, the total true damage accumulated cannot exceed 15%, and it increases attack by 15% for each 1% of damage taken. So right there you can see that it's a big deal to have a character getting that kind of buff, and I don't think there's any way Sharon Rogers could be bad after this uniform. Now we're gonna have to again keep a close eye on how they're gonna handle the power level, but as far as history goes, Netmarble loves to make their unique characters, their original characters, super strong. So I'm just saying, if you haven't invested in these 2 characters, you're on the clock right now. You've got less than a week to rank up these characters. Don't rank up Sharon Rogers' new uniform, obviously, just rank her up as is. But just for a little quick history lesson, when Sharon Rogers was originally introduced, she quickly became the #1 world boss clear character. And I kind of drew some attention to myself in my earlier days of YouTube, because I suffered through Thanos Infinity Thanos World Boss. We didn't have World Boss Ultimate back then. Using a tier 1 Sharon Rogers. You guys remember that? Don't put a chainsaw on a chainsaw. I remember. And then when she fell out of the meta, what did Netmarble do? They snapped their hands or their fingers, and they gave her Starlight Armor with the 3rd year anniversary update, and they propelled her right back into the meta. And even though a month or 2 later, the X-Men came, Jean Grey, Wolverine, those crazy boosted characters in terms of power level, she still hung around. She was still able to battle with the big dogs because of how powerful she is. And even when Apocalypse, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver came around originally in September of that year, she could still hang around because 20% ignore dodge helped her against Quicksilver and so on and so forth. Now, in the kind of year since then, she's obviously fallen off. She's nowhere near the top of the meta anymore, but still, she was always very, very close to the top, if not at the top, when she got something new. And Luna Snow, on the other hand, has kind of maintained her position. She is one of the best speed characters in the game. She's the only good energy damage dealing speed character. Don't talk to me about Ghost. And she's poised for a huge spike with her uniform. I just can't imagine them making her skills better. Her skills are a little awkward, I will say that now. It's quite difficult to use her in ABX effectively without an immense amount of practice. And she does have some skills that root her down, like Snowflower, unless you cancel it. So she could definitely use some skill reworks a la Sharon Rogers. But just try to calculate it. How much better Sharon Rogers got. Compare her with and without her uniform. And how much more deadly she became, especially that 4th skill laser beam. Imagine if they do something like that for Luna Snow. She's going to tear a hole in the game, essentially. So I'm saying it right now, basically, in my reaction. I have extremely high expectations for both of these characters. And I do expect that if Netmarble continues their trend, if Netmarble continues the trend of over-buffing and kind of favoring their original characters, both Sharon Rogers and Luna Snow will be in the top 10 of the meta pretty soon after the update. Now, whether or not they get their tier 3s will definitely factor into that. I think it's pretty much a guarantee that they're top 10 if they both get their tier 3s. I mean, Sharon Rogers doesn't have any competition for Blast tier 3, no offense, Magneto. And the only competition for speed tier 3 that Luna has is obviously Deadpool. Now, whether they're valuable in PvE or PvP, we're going to have to wait and see just how that shakes out. But I have no doubt that their damage is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And it's going to be, it's not just going to be one banana. It's going to be a whole bunch. So let me know what you guys think of this insane sneak peek. Let me know if you think it's uniforms, if you think it's level 70, gear 25, if you think it's tier 3, or if you think there possibly is something more that I'm missing from this. Hit me up down below in the comments. I'm honestly pretty hyped because I like both Luna Snow and Sharon Rogers a lot. I hope they don't forget about Crescent. Subscribe if you enjoy the content, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.